So we're back here at the Web 2.0 Summit. With me I have Ken Goldberg. Last time I checked, you're a professor at the University of California, Berkeley. Is that still the case?
Still is, at least I think so.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I feel very excited for you and also to have you here to talk about something that I think is pretty cool. Collaborative Discovery Engine, is that what's being called? What's the deal?
It is. It's what we're describing as a new process. We're taking the idea of brainstorming, which came out in 1953. A guy named Alex Osborne wrote a book that basically described these principles of a process for generating lots of ideas. And what's amazing is that the process, the principles that he described, haven't really changed in the past 60 years. But almost everything else has changed. So can we take that and bring that up to speed using big data, social media, to allow people to work together at very large scales?
Okay. How does that work?
All right. So the problem is that when you increase scale, bring in lots and lots more people to suggest ideas, you generally sacrifice speed. Things start to slow down. It's very hard to evaluate all the ideas that you get. And there are other companies that are looking at this. So there's a space called social innovation. But all of them use lists to present the ideas. And lists are linear. So what happens is that as the list grows longer and longer, it becomes harder and harder to find what you're looking for. In other words, you get these really big haystack, and you have to find the needles inside of it. It's very hard to do. So the other problem is binary evaluation metrics. So at best, you'll see something like thumbs up, thumbs down, right? All or nothing. And these are very crude ways of measuring approval. And so you can't use the higher order statistics to eliminate noise in the signal, and find the signal. So what we're interested in is how can you take this data and combine it in interesting ways and be able to achieve both scale and speed. So my background is in robotics, and it turns out that we can get insights by looking at robots. Because robots don't work in a linear environment. They work in nonlinear spatial environments. And they also deal with very complex, noisy data. So there's a whole host of techniques that have been developed over the past 50 years that allow robots to basically address these problems of scale and speed. So what we've done, my students and I in the past 10 years in the lab, have been trying to apply ideas from robotics to the social innovation problem in the internet. And what we're announcing today will be the new process. We call it the Collaborative Discovery Process. And a new company, which is called Hybrid Wisdom Labs. And the idea is that people can come in, each problem we create a specialized engine, we call it Collaborative Discovery Engine for it. And you read the problem, and then people start suggesting ideas. And what's new about this is that the ideas are represented as what we call blooms, colored circular points on a space. And if you go to hybridwisdom.com, you can see them. And then every person suggests an idea is represented as a bloom. The position of the bloom is based on your opinions. So that's how so at a glance, you can see at a map, you can see the scale and diversity of participation. But then the important thing is that it's a self-organizing social system. So the size of each bloom is related to how other people have evaluated it. And there's a lot of details in the algorithms, but the most important part is that the weak ideas tend to fade into the background, and then the most exciting, insightful ideas get highlighted.
In terms of applications for this, I understand that you're soliciting ideas for that, literally, at hybridwisdom.com, and I think there's a $1,000 prize or something along those lines. What are some of the best ideas so far? What are some of the practical applications of this? Because, of course, this almost always these days boils down to, well, okay, what does it do in terms of what are the judges of better outcomes here?
Great. So we've been working with the U.S. State Department. So Hillary Clinton asked us to develop a version of this to get input from people all around the world about topics related to foreign policy. And that's been on the State Department's website. They call it, their earlier version of this was called Opinion Space. So you can find it there, still active and collecting collecting ideas and organizing them, again, by how insightful they are. But we've also worked with companies in healthcare, in manufacturing, and consumer products. So that's part of the motivation for designing a new version of the system that can be used by enterprises. So we decided to take a little bit of our own medicine and apply the idea of collaborative discovery to discover the best applications for the system. So as you mentioned, we're offering a $1,000 prize to the best idea, the best new application for the system. And the system has only been online for, well, we'll actually officially launch at 4:35 today, but it's been online, it's only been online a short amount of time, but some of the ideas that are coming in are, for example, that we could use this to develop problems. For example, Occupy Wall Street. There's a lot of energy around this right now. It's clearly a movement and struck a chord. But one of the big problems is what are some solutions? What are some specific things we can aim for? And the tool is great for this. People could submit their ideas. We'll see the diversity of participants, and the best ideas will get highlighted. So that's one. The other is, for example, how social media could be used to improve learning for K through 12 students. Now we think the best people to answer that are probably K through 12 students. They know more about social media than my generation, at least. And they're thinking about learning all the time. So we have another version of this that we could build that would allow students from all over the world to suggest ideas. And again, the best ones will get highlighted.
So last question. When you look at projects like this, I always wonder, well, how do they scale? Right? You say hybridwisdom.com, the State Department's got a version of it. Can people take the software and install it? Do you have it hosted in the cloud somewhere where it can massively scale under demand? Sort of, what are the nuts and bolts of sort of next steps for sharing this with a larger audience?
Well, it is, right now we have set it up in the Elastic Cloud. So we use the cloud computing to handle large numbers of participation, and we'll test it out today if we get more traffic. The general idea, though, is that we do have to set up a specific engine for each new application. So that's where we can't do it in parallel. So that's where we'll probably see a bottleneck, at least for the time being. But the long-term goal is that as we work out all the bugs and we start using this, we'll be able to have it set up so that you can go in, configure it for your own problem, and then launch it.
Cool. All right, that's Professor Ken Goldberg from UC Berkeley, and he'll be talking more about what's happening. Again, you can check out hybridwisdom.com to see more about the app, or application process, I should say.
Or the app. It's actually going to be also a mobile version as well.
All right. Well, there you go. Something more to look forward to.
Thank you.